voice. We are future champions. We are leaders of our world. We will never, never stop. We stand through the fight till it's over. We are winners, we are no losers. Women who triumph can never give it up. Women who triumph will rise up when they fall. Women who triumph will overcome it all. Women who triumph is what we are.
Makes you smile, doesn't it?
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful.
It really does. And hello everyone, and welcome to the Evergirl Wins Life Literacy Show. And on today's show, I have the amazing Rosie with the Love is Kind Network movement. I can't wait for her to share that with you. And Rosie, it's Aiello. I know you and I have been friends forever, correct?
Well, neither one of us has really easy names,
No, we don't.
We have these names and people look at them and go, I know that. Well, it's Italian, so it's Aiello.
Aiello. You and I have known each other for quite some time. And it's like, okay, all right, am I ever going to get that right?
It's all good.
Aiello. But welcome again to the Evergirl Wins Life Literacy Show. And I would just want to tell a little bit about Evergirl Wins Institute. Now, Evergirl Wins Institute, what we do is we teach women and young girls life literacy. The purpose of Evergirl Wins is to show them they have the ability to deal with challenges that are holding them back, not just in their personal life, but also their professional life. And what we do is we go through the 5 ultimate gifts of life literacy. And what that is identify, understand, create, collaborate, and communicate. And on today's show, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about with Rosie. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about Rosie. After 25 years relationship, Rosie Aiello.
Yeah, just say hello.
Engineered an international escape from the Middle East to save her young adult daughter and herself from domestic violence. Stunned by PTSD and nearly mentally destroyed, she reinvented herself since arriving back in the United States, started her own business and became a speaker, best-selling author, and an international award-winning entrepreneur, and found the love of her life. With her Freedom Fulfillment Foundation system, Rosie helps women worldwide reclaim their voice, value, confidence, and courage so that they can create the joyful and productive life that they deserve in both their personal life and in work. She is a global movement in inspiring 100 million plus women and their children to release the shackles of abuse so that they can reclaim their lives, to believe that they deserve to be treated with kindness, because this is the foundation for her empowerment. She is on a mission to create kinder, intimate relationships, kinder families, kinder communities, and therefore a kinder world. It's a win-win for all. To help with that mission, she created National Love is Kind Day, observed on July the 27th, to celebrate that real love is kind. It's not cruel. It's caring. It's not terrorizing. It's tender. It's not threatening. It's safe. Rosie and her daughter, Sunny, will be sharing their power story of escape, healing, and freedom in their joint upcoming memoir entitled 11 Hours to Freedom. Rosie is a frequent guest on live stages, podcasts, and radio shows, including appearances on BBC London. She also hosts her own podcast. Let me get back down here. Her own podcast, Vulnerable to Valuable, where I keep hitting the wrong button, I'm sorry, where she offers many master classes and interviews outstanding women who were crushed by narcissists and created a new empowering life. You are absolutely amazing, Rosie, and you and I have known each other for quite some time. And you and I met, I want to say almost 4 years ago, right? At an Ewin Network conference, 3 or 4 years ago.
Women Network.
Yeah.
I think it was 4 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll
And
never forget when I met you.
I,
Never.
I know you were in front and I was behind, and we were in this breakout session.
Session. Yeah.
Yes, because you got up and it was you had such amazing story. I just automatically connected with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can't wait for others to actually hear your story. I mean, I have traveled last year all over the world, speaking internationally and speaking to women and girls, and that's what I work with now. And at the time when I met you, I was so inspired by your story, but I understand your story now more of what you went through because of the women that I'm working with and the girls and just the traveling that I have done with that. But before we go into questions, I want you just briefly, tell your story of the escape.
Of the escape itself, that part of it.
Well, I mean, kind of real quick to the story,
Yeah. I just, I was in, as you read in my bio, I was in this highly abusive relationship, but I had no clue about it. And fast forward, when my daughter was a junior at the American University of Beirut, we lived in the Middle East. She was born in Saudi Arabia, and we were living in Lebanon at the time. She was a junior at the university in Beirut, and she came to me and said, "Mom, you got to get me away from my father." So within 4 months, I planned that escape. And, I was married 18 years before I even knew I was in an abusive relationship. So this is really important. But I planned it in 4 months because we're going to probably talk about this a little bit more, but as I was planning the escape and getting the things and hiding the things, and we had a live-in maid, live-in housekeeper I had to hide from. I had to hide from the neighbors. I had to hide from my husband, who was there 24/7. I mean, I sometimes think, how did I do this? But I did do it. And I told myself every day, probably hundreds of times a day, I have one life to live, and I'm going to live it. And my daughter and I deserve a happy and joyful life. I knew nothing about personal development. I knew none of this stuff. And I created those mantras that really saved my life. That belief that I want to live, because I knew if I stayed, we just weren't going to make it. We were both suicidal. We just weren't going to make it. And now I could have never have guessed how my life could have turned out. I only had plan A. I was going to make the escape. There was no plan B. The escape was going to work. And I had no plan B. And now I just, as I listen to you read my bio, it's just like, it's still like a huge, like, oh my God, how my life would have been so much different if I had stayed there, and how wonderful my life is now. Is it a bowl of cherries? No, because life is not a bowl of cherries, but I have such love and joy every day now. I don't have fears like I had before. So it's just, anybody listening to this, when they think it's impossible, it just isn't.
Yeah, it's so true. So, you telling your story, I'm going to go into the first question, and it kind of goes, I think with you and your daughter. Why is it so important for females to identify and understand who they are?
And it's such this is such a powerful question, and so challenging. I mean, I didn't know who I was. I really, and because I didn't know who I was, I got into a relationship that I should have never gotten into, but I didn't see those signs because I wasn't strong within myself. And women, especially, I've lived overseas. I've been overseas, and I've been over into a more conservative part of the world, right? But even in the United States, women get into this role of people pleasing.
Oh, yes.
And when you get into that role, because society feeds it to us, between society and our parents and religion and this and that, it's like we have to be the nice ones. And then we define nice as being, well, you just give without no matter what to you. And sometimes you even fight with these women, like, well, I'm just asking you to be kind to yourself. But no. Everybody else has to come first. So we get into this self-sacrificing mode, and it's compounded by other beliefs. So what happens is that you are slowly giving up every part of you. Every time you give in to somebody else, you give up a part of you. And that is why it is so critical. And we don't even know we're doing this. That's the problem.
And the one thing too, I found out that a lot of women do, and I teach this, in my classes, is we are so apologetic, and we've got to stop that.
Yeah, that goes with the whole people pleasing thing. Oh, I'm so sorry, Oh, did I? And so we take on everyone else's guilt. We take on the responsibility of everyone else. Oh, well, it's our job to make everyone feel better. It's our job. It's like we take on responsibilities that aren't ours. We're not in charge of how everybody else feels. And to know that and to really embrace that is so empowering. It's like, I'm responsible for myself. You may not like what I do. I may not like what you do, but I'm responsible for how I feel. I'm not responsible for how you feel. I'm not in charge. My job is not to make you feel better.
Absolutely. I mean, that's so true. I mean, so many, and I still hear that in so many women. And we still have such a long time, so much, so much to do to help women to understand of who they are and not to be so apologetic. And that to me comes from, I believe, from our generation of the women that have raised us. I think it's just a generational thing that we've really got to get ourselves out of and be able to stop that as women, stop being apologetic. But Rosie, I want to take a moment real quick and just thank some people that are on here. We also we have Dominique. Dominique's from Kenya. He says you are all amazing ladies doing great things, Rosie and Christine.
Oh, thank you.
He's actually amazing himself. My first plant a garden project, he oversaw that, and I've still got to get back with him to finish that. And then we have Raymond Harlell, which is from Canada, originally from Guyana. He said he's watching from Florida. It's got to be warm there. Be warm there. But my next question, Rosie, is why is it important for females to identify their limiting beliefs and to understand how it holds them back in life?
What's interesting is that most people don't even know they have limiting beliefs. And this is sort of the crux of it, is that they just think that's what it is. That's my belief. They haven't looked at what's holding themselves back. I mean, and I didn't either. I just totally annoying. So it's really getting that awareness first that you have these thoughts, because limiting belief is a thought that you keep thinking over and over until you believe it, or it's just passed down to you. And so you believe it and you don't challenge those thoughts. So somebody else's beliefs become your beliefs, and they may not serve you, but I just want women to understand that this is really common, and it's not a judgment on them. But like when I was, in my relationship, I had 20 million limiting beliefs, right? But what held me back was that, I believed I have to apologize. I have to sacrifice. I have to do this. I have to do that, even though I was being destroyed. It's like it didn't matter. So you can't live your full life. You can't be fully expressed. You can't enjoy really the true beauty of who you are and who others are, as long as you have beliefs that no longer hold true for you. And you don't know what holds true for you unless you know what matters to you, what matters to you as a human being, not what matters to your mother or your father or your friends or whatever, but what's important to me. What's important to me? Asking yourself that important question and going, that's what's important to me. That's what I value.
Yes.
because you can't move forward until you do. And it's it's a lifelong journey.
Mm-hmm. And what I call that with the limited beliefs, it says, it's constantly in your head is, I'm unworthy, I don't deserve this. Is I call that the negative mockingbird mindset.
Yeah.
There's a mockingbird there. It's constantly saying, I'm not worthy. I don't deserve this. And, and that's what I work on with a lot of women is getting that mockingbird out of there,
right.
and from a negative to a positive.
Yeah. And I also like to, this is really great. And I think, the brain is designed to find the negative and hold on to the negative because they want to save you. The brain wants to save you, but we have to really kind of realize that our brain is not always up to date on modern society, modern thinking.
That's true.
Right? And a lot of times what I like to do is think about, is this really a useful thought or is it an unuseful thought? Is this thought actually helping me or is it not helping me? And sometimes I find that a little bit more freeing than just, always positive and negative. I just feel like, because, some thoughts that are negative can still be useful.
That's true. That is very true.
We have to put things in perspective, but yeah.
It's kind of like the pros and cons. I do that a lot.
Yeah, right, exactly. But it's just, and that's why when I was leaving, I was saying to myself, I deserve a happy and joyful job. I wasn't living that. I kept saying I deserve it. That was my mantra. That was my positive thought to help me move forward. And that's why these limiting beliefs and these thoughts help you move your life forward.
Yeah. So now, Rosie, and is there a time in your life that you have had to stand back and realize that your limiting beliefs is holding you back from creating the life that you deserve? And you probably have talked about this earlier.
Well, first I want to say is all the time. It's like no matter where you are, and ladies, don't get discouraged because that's just the way our brain is. Okay. And I say that so you realize you're actually normal. All right. It's so good. I'll never forget after, because I arrived with pretty severe PTSD, and I'll never forget the day my therapist told me, or counselor, some people call them counselors, told me, you're having a normal reaction to a bad situation. I'm going, oh, really? Oh, so being abused, it's okay to feel upset. I was like, oh my God.
You just kind of the normal day.
Yeah. But it's just important. I had this belief that I had to make him happy. It was my job to make him happy, that I had to bend over backwards. And I became, I just turned myself into a pretzel to getting back to pleasing somebody else. And it never worked. And it never worked. And it never worked. And it never worked. For decades, it never worked. Took a long time, for me to figure that out. But I had to read and self-instruct myself. So having that belief that it was my job to make him happy was destructive.
Yeah.
Absolutely destructive.
Yeah. And for those that are watching that did not hear Rosie's story in the beginning, it's called 11 Hours to Freedom. She's working on a memoir right now. And Rosie, she's from America, but she married someone from the Middle East. And she went through an abusive relationship for about 18 years, and she shackled pretty much. Yeah. And the reason it's called 11 Hours to Freedom, it took her 11 hours for her and her daughter to come from the Middle East to America. And that's why she calls it 11 Hours to Freedom, to get her and her daughter out of the danger that she was in the Middle East. So for those that missed that in the beginning, for that. So my next question, Rosie, to you is, how have you communicated by using your voice to make a difference in life and someone else's life?
I love my voice. I used it just this morning. It's been a journey. I mean, I came here, back to the United States again. I had said earlier, there was only plan A. The escape was going to work. There was nothing. There was no other option. But I did not know a thing afterwards what I was going to do with my life. I did become an entrepreneur to help. And then I started to speak about my business. And then as I started to speak about my business, I did tell them like a little, like maybe 5 minutes of my story. And everyone was like, holy schmoly, right? Kind of thing. And I just started to speak some more. And then again, it's the journey. So I'm always helping women. Then I started this movement, the Love is Kind movement, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Love is Kind Women's Circle, that's a closed group. It's a safe group for
Right.
women. And I have those two groups that I share all the time, and helping women really help them believe that they deserve to be treated with kindness. Because when I talk about releasing the shackles of abuse, I was physically free. I got my physical freedom, but it took a lot longer, which is what we're talking about here in Eliminating Beliefs, to get the freedom in your mind. And you're never, ever, ever free until you have that freedom in your mind. So I am now leading that movement. I am, a speaker on stages and podcasts. I now have my own podcast, Vulnerable to Valuable, where I interview women who have been in abusive relationships and have come out the other side. So we can be the beacon of hope for these women who think there's no other option. My life is the way it is. And I've been in the Middle East. I know it's a lot harder. Women in Africa, it's not as easy. But you still can have that freedom in your mind, and that I help women with.
I don't know about you, Rosie, but for me, when I did start using my voice, that is when my mind, my limiting beliefs started moving. Yes, absolutely. And for those that are watching that don't know my story is, I had became pregnant at 13, married his father at 14, which I call myself a child bride. And, it took me a couple years ago to actually realize that. And then, I had two more children with him by the time I was 18 through a domestic abusive relationship and through the small town that I lived in. And him, is you're worthy, you're unworthy, you'll never amount to anything. You've ruined your life. But when I started talking about it and started speaking about it instead of holding it in, my mind started saying, I am worthy. This, I'm a survivor, absolutely. Yeah. But I do believe that, I went through that to be able to stand here today to teach other women and show other women that they also can overcome whatever it is that they've actually went through too. And, I know I'm worthy. It took me a long time to figure that out. I know I'm worthy.
Yeah, and what's so important about that, what we both went through, and I think what a lot of women go through, is that shame holds them back. I know it held me back, right? It's the shame. It's what other people are thinking, what you're thinking other people are thinking, and what other people are believing. And it's like, we got to, I should have done this and I should have done that, and the shoulds and the shame. And those are your own thoughts. Talk about limiting beliefs. Those are your own thoughts that are holding you back. And know that you're not alone. I mean, we didn't know that, right? We didn't know, because until you start talking about it, you just keep holding in that shame, and your world becomes smaller and scarier, but you've created that.
Yes. And I went through the exact same thing that you went through. It was the shame, okay, they're going to judge me. And there would be sometimes that I'd be sitting there and it's like, I'd feel like their judgment is like, oh, they know what I went through. They know that, knowing that they didn't, but in my mind, it was kind of like, I know they know.
And and I remember when my daughter and I first landed, I said, we were being judged left and right constantly. I mean, we heard it's like, oh, why did you leave? And then why did you stay so long after they? And I just told my daughter, I go, no matter what, you and I know the truth.
Right.
You and I, that became another mantra. You know the truth. You knew the truth of your own life, Christine. And so do these women and girls who are listening. They know the truth. And hold on to your truth.
Yes, absolutely. I totally, agree with you on that. So my next question, Rosie, is what advice would you give to young ladies to use their voices and to make a change, just not for themselves, but for others. And as you know, with like I know, is that some countries, women or young girls cannot use their voice. It's a matter of life or death, right? But for those that can use their voice to help themselves or help others, what advice would you give them?
My first advice is always to, which works with my theme, what I do, is to be kind to yourself. Because kindness really takes courage. Kindness means you know your values. Kindness means you know how to ask confidently for what you want. Kindness means that you receive with grace. Kindness means that you know how to trust yourself, and you know how to trust others. Kindness means setting healthy boundaries. And when you show up that way, by showing up, first you just show up that way by being an example to others. And how you are a being is more important than anything. And so when the girl next to you, let's say you're 13, I don't know the age groups, and then a little girl is 10, and she just sees, wow, look at her, how she's being. Maybe I can be that way too. And so whether you open your mouth and say, you got this girl, you got this girl. I would say the most important thing girls and women need to hear is, I believe you and I believe in you. And just those two simple words. And you deserve to be treated with kindness. And it starts by being kind to yourself. And I have women that's like, really? I deserve to be treated with kindness. It's like a huge aha, because so many have it. And if we can do that with each other, have women lift each other up. And I feel so happy there are men, that were listening here, because we need good, kind men to be voices for us as well, especially in these countries where women don't have strong voices.
Absolutely.
We need men on our side who are verbally championing women.
Yes. I totally agree with that. And, being, the Every Girl Wins Institute, I love men coming in and supporting us and being a part of our lives. And, because we can't do it without them.
No, absolutely not.
We have to have them to be there to support us, and we have to be there to support them.
Yes.
It goes both ways.
Yeah, I really do believe that. I didn't believe that in the beginning about the men, because I had so much fear. But now that I'm with the most fabulous guy, well, maybe after yours, but both fabulous men. But I mean, I feel really blessed to be there. But just like women grew up just being people pleasers, men grew up, being dominant, being, this is the way it is. And I don't think it serves to blame anybody, but this is how the world was evolving. Now we've come to a new place. And I really do believe that it's going to be the women, it's going to be the girls who have to be the disruptors and say, no more.
Yes.
I'm an equal human being, and I deserve to be treated with kindness and care and thoughtfulness.
Yes. And, that comes to, my next question for you, I want you to kind of tell everyone real quick, is how you came up with Love is Kind Day. You have a proclaimed day. Love is Kind Day. July. I've interviewed her before, and I was actually the first person that I interviewed, and she, it came up on my show when I did that. And I'm so excited she actually allowed me to do that. So I was excited.
Yeah, well, I was thrilled, and you participated. I was really thrilled. Yeah. Well, first of all, Love is Kind. I want to just really quickly say the reason I came up with Love is Kind, and I didn't say the Abuse Network or Ending Abuse, is I wanted to project what it is that we wanted. And I wanted kindness. I wanted to be treated with kindness. And the whole phrase is real love is kind, not terrorizing. That's what it is. Real love is kind, not terrorizing. And the National Love is Kind Day, which is really International Love is Kind Day, is on July 27th. And that is the day my daughter and I'm getting choked up already. Oh my gosh. That's the day we landed in the United States and got our freedom, our physical freedom. Oh my gosh. You see, I never know when that's going to come up, but
It's
that's been
okay.
11 years ago.
Yeah.
11 years ago.
I've got chills on me.
Yeah. It's just because it was quite a feat.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a feat to have done that. And now I mean, my dream is for, having worldwide marches that love is kind and real love is kind. And we're going to grow together, creating kinder families, that there isn't room for abuse. No one should be demeaned physically, emotionally, sexually. There's no place for that.
No.
And hurt people are hurting people. And we just have to give them pour kindness on them and say, you're safe, because the world will win when we're kind with each other.
Oh, I love that. I mean, when you came up with that day, I'm so, oh, that's such a perfect day. And I forgot that that was the day that you actually landed. I forgot all about that. I forgot
it's freedom, our freedom, our freedom, our day of independence.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I absolutely love that. So my next question to you, Rosie, is share with the listeners why it is essential to build strong collaborative relationships and why communication is key to building those relationships. Because you and I have built a strong relationship by, with eWomen Network, that's where we met, and we've just been connected ever since. So
Yes.
share with us why it's so important for women to collaborate with each other in that way.
Getting back to the limiting beliefs and things like that, when you are alone, I mean, I've written this and I say this often, that shame almost killed me because I was all within my own head, my own shell, and I didn't have anybody to validate my reality, validate that something was wrong, validate goodness, nothing. And when you are alone, you start to focus more and more on the negative, and you can't grow. You can't have somebody tell you, that's not true. You're a wonderful person. You're worthy. And they may not believe you. So it's only when we're working together, when we're helping each other, when we're supporting each other. Now, sometimes you may be the one who needs to be supported, and then you're supported, and then you get to support somebody else. Just like you asked me, what advice would I give to the young girls? And that's how they do it. It's only through collaboration. There's no other way. We can't create these movements, create change by ourselves. And it doesn't mean that everyone listening has to be like you and me, trying to make worldwide movements.
Right.
Do it with your family, with your cousin,
Yes.
with your sister. It doesn't have to be this global thing, right? I don't want people to think, oh, we have to do it. No, it's just for you. But I want you to understand that when you're living in tough situations, it's sometimes hard to find somebody. And that's why I didn't have it when I was living overseas, that it wasn't all this Facebook and all these organizations. I was truly isolated. But I understand the isolation that happens. And just reach out. Because what I can promise you, there will be somebody there who will understand you, who will hold your hand. And it's okay. It's okay to receive that.
Yes.
And, we just keep helping one another. We lift one another up. And I encourage women to help one another. If you've risen 2 steps ahead, we don't have to be a mile ahead or a kilometer ahead. We just need to be a little bit to say and be the example that we can move forward together.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's powerful. I don't even have anything else to say because you just said it all for me. I love that. That was absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Rosie, the next thing that I want to move to is International Evergirl Wednesday. And International Evergirl Wednesday, that is celebrated on March the 13th. I was actually approved for that back in December of 2018. So this will be 2021 will be our second year of celebration. And what we do is we stand for women, for equality. We stand for, our femalehood. We stand for education, life literacy, healthcare, life literacy, economic life literacy, and also entrepreneurial life literacy. So in this year, our theme for this year is called Her Right. And now Her Right, I'm going to show that to you, is Her Right. So that's 2021. So that is our International Every Girl Wins thing. So it is her right to be able to have those things.
That's
It's,
right.
you know, and I love how my last guest had said, she said, yes, it's her right. It's always been her right. Now she just gets to reclaim it. I love that. It's always been our right. We just need to reclaim our right to whatever it is for, equality, for everything, that we deserve in life. So what I want to talk to you about is the part of entrepreneur life literacy. You being an entrepreneur, and why is it important for girls to have the information to be able to start their own business, not just a career, but their own business, to be able to be self-sufficient?
Well, and then you hit it on the head in a couple ways there. One is the self-sufficiency is this belief that we have to depend on somebody else. And most often it's to depend on the man, right? And when you become dependent, you lose a lot of your power, right? And I know that because before I was married, I was moving up pretty fast in corporate finance and high tech in Silicon Valley in California. I got married and I had all of a sudden, and I have an MBA in finance. I just want people to understand the background on this. So I have MBA in finance. As soon as I got married, I wasn't working, and I was making no income, and I became almost overnight instantly dependent on him. It's like, who am I? And I had to ask. And so then I felt like I was asking like a child. So when you start to become your own person, now you're making your own decisions about how your business is run, right? You become a leader even in your own business, right? You can't see my fingers here. I'm counting there over. It's like, where are those numbers? I don't see my hand. So you learn through your mistakes, and you learn that you can keep going no matter what. So being an entrepreneur creates so many strong foundations in a woman that it's unending. Your beliefs are challenged. Your limiting beliefs are challenged. It forces you to keep growing as a human being, as a leader, as a business person, and then knowing whatever it is that you are an entrepreneur in, you're helping others. So you can see there's a multitude of facets that offer this woman opportunities for growth, financial growth, economic growth, emotional growth, leadership growth, and to really develop into a woman that she probably never even thought was possible.
Yes, absolutely. And that comes back to, one of the projects that I have, that Dominique from Kenya, and, he says, I'm watching from Kenya, that he helped me with, is called Plant a Garden Project. And what the Plant a Garden Project is, I came about that when the COVID had hit. And what was happening in a lot of these countries, these developing and third world countries, is that they were more worried about starvation than they were about the COVID. So I started the Plant a Garden Project. Is these women that not only teach them how to plant a garden to put food on their table, but they also can take the extra produce and sell that to make extra income for their families. So it doesn't, when it comes to entrepreneurship, it doesn't have to be a big, like Google or Microsoft,
right?
Anything like that.
Yes, exactly.
Planting a garden and selling produce, or if you're good at sewing, which I'm not, no sewing, or
that's a limiting belief. Excuse me.
Yeah,
just note that, everybody.
Yeah, it's limited belief.
It's how it pops up. We're human.
I love that. But it could be, sewing, it's sewing, or, anything. And I remember someone telling me that there was a lady that had set up I forgot where she said it was, but they were set up like movies, like they would sell the movies, and things but that's their business. And so it doesn't have to be a Google or a Microsoft or, American Airlines. anything, just to start.
And I think that's such a great example. It doesn't have to be big, and it just, you're stepping up into a role because you want to serve. You see there's a problem. It's like you're just finding a solution for it. You found, and the solution, then do it. It's a win. It becomes a win-win.
Absolutely. And I wanted to take the time right now, Rosie, and thank a few of our listeners. Again, Dominique watching from Kenya. Raymond says, amazing conversation. And it says Facebook user, it doesn't have a name on it. It says, I love it. Amen. And then we have Judith Narain. I hope, Judith, I'm saying your name correctly. She says, amen. And then she also says, standing up for women. And she said, equality for all females. Yes, you can learn from your mistakes. Absolutely. Learn from the mistakes.
Yeah. No, it's just training ground.
Absolutely. It's so true.
Life is a training ground.
I always say, no matter what it is, there's a lesson involved in anything. There's a lesson.
Right.
Anything. Yeah. But also want to talk about those that are listening right now is going to my website and signing the proclamation for International Every Girl Wednesday. You can find that proclamation on my website at evergirlwins.com. And, it's important to sign these proclamations if you believe in them, to show people that you're standing for that. And then if there's things that, through the government or whatever that we need to change, I can take that to the government and say, hey, look, I have this proclamation, I have it signed, so many people, we need that change. We need to stand for women of the world. So go on my website, evergirlwins.com. You can do it through an e-signature, or if you don't want to do it through a computer, just email me and I can email you a hard copy to send back to me. But either way, sign that proclamation and let's all stand together as females. Even gentlemen, I've got gentlemen that signed it. So Dominique, listening, go sign that. Stand for the women of the world. But the email that you send that to is info@evergirlwins.com if you need a hard copy of that proclamation so that I can get that to you. And
beautiful.
Yes. So my last question to you, Rosie, will be this. Is, in this world, is we have some climate control that are affecting women around the world. What are your thoughts on the climate control affecting women around the world?
Do you mean like climate change? What do you mean?
Climate change.
Climate change.
Yes, climate change.
I think again, this is creating the awareness for the entire world and for people to get on board of what is really happening and not put their heads in the sands. Now, depending on where you are in the world, right, it affects you in a different way. And if women are the ones in Africa or wherever in these poor countries having to go and get the water and trying to get clean water. I mean, clean water is essential for every single human being. And to have clean water not available is a major crisis. Yeah. And this is where we need to put a lot of, I think, attention on. In the United States, it's on fuel energy, on replacing fossil fuel with solar fuel. But the rest of the world, and even the United States, but the rest of the world, because I lived in the Middle East, I know what that is, and I know where, in other parts of the world, having water, clean water is such a huge thing for your survival, for your health, for your brain. It's so important. And as long as the world leaders are not investing in these infrastructures to provide clean water, to provide adequate electricity. This is how we live today. This is how people are being able to see us, right? It's through electricity, however it's generated. That these are going to be all really important elements to help us live decent lives.
Right.
Talking about a right to clean water.
Yes.
I mean, that's basic. That's basic more than electricity.
Right. Exactly.
We have,
Exactly.
and everything affects how we live affects others.
Yes, it does. Absolutely. And thank you for that. For us, we kind of take water for granted, but other developing countries, they have to, walk and travel for miles to get water. And some of them even have to, compete with the animals to get the water, to clean water and
Yeah.
stuff like
I mean, I live that. I know what it's like. I lived without electricity and without water for many times.
that.
I mean, there would be days and it's like, okay, no laundry today, can't flush the toilets today, can't wash the dishes, can't do anything. There's no water. No water's coming out of the faucet. We didn't have to go to the river to get some, but we still didn't have water. So I know what it's like to not have water or electricity. I lived it for a long, long, long time.
Yeah.
And it destroys human lives. You get your illnesses. You're talking about can we survive? Can we eat? When you're talking about COVID, you need clean water for the vegetables and to grow the food.
Absolutely. Well, Rosie, I want to take a few more minutes to say, our listeners again. Oh, Judith is listening from Amsterdam. Welcome, Judith. And then the Facebook user, she says, y'all, every gal deserves freedom. Yes, every gal deserves freedom and independence. Absolutely. Every girl does. Now, Rosie, we're getting ready to close. Is there any last minute, last statement that you want to speak to the audience today about?
I want to just reemphasize that your life matters. You matter. No matter what anybody says, you matter. You deserve to be treated with kindness, and it starts by being kind to yourself. And when we create kinder, intimate relationships, and we create these kinder families, the world will change. It will be one step at a time, one human life at a time. And your freedom is the freedom that you get from your mind.
Oh, I love that, Rosie. Thank you so much. So we are closing, and again, thank you, Rosie. For those that are listening, remember next year, International Every Girl Wednesday. The theme is her right. I'm so excited about that theme, and and to learn more about International Every Girl Wednesday and to sign the proclamation, go to everygirlwins.com. And if you want, any more information regarding Evergirl Wins Institute, you can find that also on our website. And if you're looking to, just a mentor collaboration, join Evergirl Wins Institute group, or, just contact us. We'll be more than happy to, just have a chat with you. Again, thank everyone for listening and have a great day. Bye.
Thank you.